it going?
Welcome.
Yeah. Is that weird?
I don't think it's weird.
Hey, what's up? This is SG Lewis, and this is Billboard News.
Hello, I'm Katie Bain for Billboard News, and we are here with SG Lewis, who has just released his fantastic new album.
Oh, thank you.
Truly, I'm a fan of this album. You know that it's had kind of an exceptionally long rollout. Like, I've been hearing music from this album for 6 months. So tell me the thinking behind that.
I started making this album before I even released the last one, so I just felt like there was a lot of music that I wanted to get through, and I thought that a lot of the music was quite varied. I just wanted to give people time to digest it.
You were on Jimmy Fallon. What was that like?
Yeah, that was crazy, really surreal, sort of flag in the ground moment. And before I knew it, I was kind of, they were like, action, and then it's happening, and I was just glad I didn't forget the lyrics.
So help me with this list. Tove Lo, Charlotte Day Wilson,
Yes.
Ty Dolla $ign,
Yes.
Lucky Day,
Yes.
Channel Choice.
Yes.
Okay, so
done.
that's a tight little crew. How are these collaborators chosen?
I worked with some other people, but these are the collaborators that either I just had a good relationship with or just kind of took to the concept really well.
The concept of the album is kind of romantic love and
Yes.
then lusty,
Yeah.
passionate love. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's basically kind of defining these two approaches to love and relationships. One being this kind of lust-driven, infatuated, kind of rushy, and sometimes sort of toxic approach to love and relationships. And then the second half kind of representing this more fulfilled, actualized, kind of longer lasting version of, I guess, what people would call real love.
Real love. Cool, I get you. I imagine that those themes lead to, you know, intimate lyrics and writing about experiences that are personal to you. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff in the album that's kind of highly personal.
Okay. What does it feel to perform that stuff?
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, the last album was very much about everyone else. Yeah, it's a new feeling, and it's definitely uncomfortable at times, but also it's honest, so it feels good.
I really want to talk about the influence of Yacht Rock
Yeah.
on this album, and just take me through the whole process.
Okay, this one's what kind of started as a bit of almost like a ironic thing. One of my friends had just gotten really into Yacht Rock, and he'd made this playlist, and he was making us all listen to it, kind of associated with like dad rock and stuff, or even the name Yacht Rock is like, what is that? Anyway, but it kind of became this new genre, new space just to like dig for records. So it kind of became a competition of who could find the rarest Yacht Rock song, which I'd say I became like a big Steely Dan fan, some Christopher Cross.
All the legends
Yeah,
of Yacht Rock. Well, in terms of legends, you work with Elton John. How did it come to be?
Elton he has a radio show, and he's a big champion of new music. So when I released the first album, I got invited onto his radio show for an interview.
Sure.
And at the end of, that was already surreal enough. And at the end of the radio interview, he's like, "Oh, I'd love to get in the studio." And I was like, "Yeah, right." Like, you know, we're like on air, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure you said it to everyone."
Don't mess with me, Elton.
Yeah, I was like, "Okay, sure thing." And then I was driving along the next day, and I get a phone call, and I was like, I nearly crashed the car.
Oh my God.
But he was like, "When are we getting in the studio?" So we got in the studio, and we made Orbit.
That's amazing. Have you learned anything from him?
Yeah, that, you know, someone can operate on that level and be such an icon, but still be funny and down to earth and a nice person too.
Different icon. Whitney. You remixed I'm Every Woman.
Yes.
How do you even approach a track that legendary? When you get the stems, what do you do?
That was an intimidating one, and it's one of those ones I kind of nearly said no to. But I think the fact that it was for the biopic and that the family and the estate were kind of involved in it and they wanted an update, you know, I think like if they weren't asking for someone to kind of to touch that record, then I don't think I would elbow my way in there and be like, you know, here's my house remix.
I've got a better idea.
Yeah.
What's happening next?
I'm going to Europe to tour. I'm doing a bunch of festivals in the US, playing Coachella, which will be really cool. My mum and dad are going to come out.
Oh.
Yeah. My dad had like what I can only describe as a spiritual awakening at Calvin Harris the first time I played Coachella. And he didn't really go to festivals growing up or anything, and then he was like on the barrier, like I think he thought he'd arrived. He was like, all right, and then he was like, I'm gonna go for it. So he was like stood on the barrier, just like fist pumping. The security guard's like, sir, get down. He's like, no. So yeah, it was pretty great.
That's an incredible thing to be able to provide your parents
Yeah,
with.
so now anytime Coachella or anything, they're like, yep, we're coming. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Great to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you too.
See you soon.